Let's take a look at finding the midpoint between 2 points. Now, I've got this thing here called the midpoint formula. I think it's really a formula. Well, you could say it's a formula. This is not an equation of any sort. So we could write here, for example, x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. And if we were to feed in the values for two separate points, and this was to be a line segment, the middle of that line segment would be these coordinates here. So let's go ahead and do that. So I've got this one here, 5, 2, 1, 8, or actually just choose one with a bit more numbers in it. Actually, it's quite cool. Let's go with this one here, negative 5, 1, negative 2, 3. Here we go. So I'm going to go negative. So point A is negative 5, comma 1. And point B is negative 2, 3. Now I've left a bit of space in between these because I'm going to actually designate each of these things. Well, this is x and y, and this is x and y. And if we were to draw this up, let's draw it up. Here's roughly what it would look like. Here's my x, here's my origin, here's my y-axis. Now, I've got negative 5, 1, who's my negative 5. It's my negative 5, and I'm going to go 1. There's my negative 5, comma 1. Negative 5, comma 1. There it is. And I got negative 2, 3. Negative 2 is about there, and 3 up, which is about, let's call it there, negative 2, 3, about there. Here it is, negative 2, comma 3. There it is. So we're looking at this line here, and we're finding the midpoint wherever x marks the spot. So how do we find that point? We're going to populate this now with the metrics here. And I'm going to designate this as an x1. There's my x1 there. So I'm going to put x1 there as my x1. It's negative 5 plus x2. Well, my x2 is going to be this one here. Here's my x2. And that's negative 2. All over 2, comma, y1. Well, this is going to be my y1. This is going to be my y2. So y1 is going to be 1 plus y2 is going to be 3 all over 2. So negative 5 plus negative 2 is negative 7. Negative 7 divided by 2 is going to be negative 3.5, comma. Well, 1 and 3 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this point here, that point there, is going to be negative 3.5, comma 2. And that's how we would find the point. All right, let's do one more of those. A bit of fun here. Let's go with F. This one here. It's negative. Yeah, I'll do that one there. So that's a nice one. So I'll write all that up. Here we go. So I've got my A point. I've got A here. A is going to be negative 2, comma 4. And my B is, what have we got here? 4, comma negative 2. Notice I'm left a little bit of space in between here, so I'm going to write this as x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2. There they are. So now let's populate the formula. So I'll put an x1 plus x2 over 2, comma y1 plus y2 over 2. So what does that all equal? Well, my x1 is negative 2. My x2 is a 4, all over 2, comma, y1 is 4, y2 is negative 2 over 2. There it is. Okay, let's see what this adds up to. Well, negative 2 and 4 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 2. Sorry, 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So it's going to be 1, comma. Well, 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. There it is. So this thing here all should add up to a point, which is 1, comma 1. Let's have a look and see if that's actually true. Here it is. Let's see what we've got. I'll put an origin here, I've got a y here and an x here. So x is negative 2, call that negative 2. 4, I'll call that negative 2, comma 4, negative 2, comma 4. And we've got a 4 along negative 2. 4, let's call that 4, and this negative 2 there. So that's 4, comma negative 2. All right, so if I was to draw those two up together, And it's really making it into a line segment. Oh, kind of missed that there. And therefore, the midpoint is going to be, in fact, it's going to be right there. Look at that. It's going to be 1, 1. And that's what I should end up with. So there's my point right in there. And that's how that would be drawn. Hope that makes sense. Actually, before I stop, I'm noticing I got a couple other ones, really nice ones here. All right, so this one here, I've got an example one up the top here. And it's got a point and a point and a midpoint. But we're told the midpoint is 1, -3. We're just not told the other point. So I'm actually going to draw this one up and actually show how we would find not the midpoint between two known points, but the other point if we know one point and the midpoint. So let's go ahead and do just that. So let's have a look. Here we go. So in fact, I'm going to draw that on a separate sheet. Here we go. Okay, new sheet of paper. Here we go. This time I'm going to have, I'll draw that little line graph thing up there. So here it is. It's going to look something like this one. So it's going to be 3, 1. Here it is. We know the midpoint here is 1, -3. And we know the point at the other end is the one we're after. And this is going to be P. This is M. They're calling it M for midpoint, I suppose. Q here. And this is A, B. All right. So we're wanting to find A, B. So how do we go ahead and do this? Well, we know the formula for these things. So let's write down our formula, which is going to be x1 plus x2 over 2. And that thing there is equal to the x value of the midpoint. Then we've got our y, because I'm doing this separately now, notice. We've got y1 plus y2 over 2. And that's equal to the y value of the midpoint. So, in fact, we can actually now look at this. This is going to equal, for example, 1. That's the midpoint x value. This is the equal, that's equal to 1. That's the midpoint x value. And the other one's going to be equal to -3. The midpoint y value, which is -3. So let's now rewrite this, but writing in what we know. So this is going to be my x1. Here I'm going to put that x1. This is y1. This is my x2, I'm going to call it, and my y2. There it is. So now let's populate everything with that information. So my x1 for a start is going to be a 3. So I'm going to go 3 plus x2. Now, we're calling it x2a, yeah? Over 2 is equal to 1. And let's do the other one as well, the y1. So here we go. y1, well, my y1 is a 1. Here it is. My y1 was a 1 plus b is y2 over 2 is equal to, and this time it's equal to the y value of the midpoint, which is -3. There it is. Oh, I didn't see me writing that, so that's what that is. So these are the two bits here that we're going to go ahead and solve now for A. All right, this one's nice and easy, so I'm just going to go implies that. So I'm not keeping equals under each, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this one. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. I'm going to multiply all of this by 2, multiply all of this by 2, and I'm going to end up with 2 divided by 2 leaves me with 3 plus A is equal to 2. Therefore, A is equal to A. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. A is equal to 2 minus 3, which is going to be -1. So there's my A value. Okay, my B value, well, I've got a 1 plus that. I'm going to go ahead and say I've got 1 plus B. I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. There it is. 2 divided by 2 leaves me with 1 plus B is equal to -6. There it is, -6. I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So B is equal to -7. So my A and my B, which is really my X and my Y, A is going to be so -1, -7. So that isn't the midpoint. We're using the midpoint to find our second point. And this point here, therefore, is -1, -7. And we've already just said what A and B are. A and B. A is -1 and B is -7. And I put a therefore sign. Yeah. So that is how we would calculate those.